and says, he that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much. And he that is unjust in the least is unjust in also much. I think we like the idea of doing big things for God. I mean, who likes that idea? Doing big things for God. We like the idea of big promises from God. Who likes that idea? Who has those? There we go. But what I also think is we don't necessarily like the process to get to a place where we can actually receive those promises. We like the idea that God would say something and then just snap his fingers and it is in the natural instantly. But how many knows and gets given promises in a decade, 2 decades later, you're like, it's coming. And I've said this many times, and I will probably continue to say this. I really do wonder that half the time when we think we're waiting on God, he's actually waiting on us. Well, regardless, we know we have entered into a new season, and we are bearing much fruit in the vineyard, and it is an awesome, awesome thing. And God's not even close to being done. Not even close. And that's something to get excited about. We see something all throughout Scripture that there is a process. There is stepping stones in order when God says to do something, or God says he's going to do something, or that you're going to be something, or that he's going to give you something, whatever it is, there is a process that has to take place for you to become the person that can handle it. If you're faithful with those little things, you'll be ruler over much. But if you're not going to be faithful with those little things, you're going to spend a whole lot of time waiting on God when he's like, well, when are you just going to get it? And we see this all throughout Scripture. I think it's because God gives promises that's bigger than us. He wants to accomplish things that's bigger than you so he can show himself strong through you. And so when you get something like that, you just got to know, okay, well, then what in me needs to probably die? To become the person, to become the man, to become the woman that God needs me to be in order to receive what he wants to give me, to do what he wants to do. Because if you think just because he told you something means that you're ready for it, that doesn't necessarily mean it's true. What would have happened, I mean, if you really think about this, David was anointed king. I think we talked about that fairly recently, didn't we? He didn't get the throne next day. There was a lot of stuff that took place, including, hey, the lion, the tiger, the giant. If he hadn't experienced the lion hurting his dad's sheep and all of that, and he hadn't experienced the bear and all that, would he have even gotten to Goliath? Because he said, hey, no, I got some history with God. He's delivered me this, and now I'm ready to face that. There's stepping stones. There's a process. And as all of you know, and because you've all experienced this, God has a process in you. He's accomplishing a process in you, and we've got to be willing to go for the ride and actually do that thing, because we do like the idea of being a giant slayer, but sometimes we don't like the idea of being annoyed by the stupid lion or the stupid bear or something like that. We'd rather just avoid that and get to the good stuff when God say, no, this is required so you can actually handle the bigger stuff. And we have seen this. David was entrusted with sheep before he had a kingdom. Joseph managed Potiphar's house before he managed Egypt. Joshua served Moses for decades before leading Israel into the promised land. Timothy had to be proven faithful before Paul entrusted him with churches. There's a process. There's things that need to take place. And so tonight, I will not talk about Shema, but man, we're just a couple verses from him. I briefly want to talk about Benaiah. And I know I bring him up often, but I don't think I've actually spent some time on him in a while. Maybe I have, I don't know. But ultimately, he was David's bodyguard. He was listed as one of David's mighty men of valor, and he went on to command Solomon's entire army. He was a killing machine. I wish they'd make a movie of him, because I would totally watch that one. He got the job done. When something, David said, that guy needs to be taken out. Benaiah was on it. He would get the job done. And in 2 Samuel 23, And in 1 Chronicles 11:22 through 25, we read that Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, the son of a valiant man of Kabzeel, who had done many acts to slew 2 lion-like men of Moab. He went down also and slew a lion in the midst of a pit in the time of snow. And he slew an Egyptian, a goodly man. An Egyptian had a spear in his hand, but he went down to him with a staff and plucked the spear out of the Egyptian's hand and slew him with his own spear. These things did Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, do, and had the name among 3 mighty men. And he was more honorable than the 30. But he attained not the first 3, and David set him over his guard. By the end of this list, it's interesting because there's certain things that he went through, and we could talk about what would it be like to go up against 2 lion-like men. That seems kind of interesting. I know some people like to say it was this thing, or they were just valiant, or they were what's another word? Captains, and I think it had something to do with how they looked personally. But he killed 2 of them. An massive Egyptian dude, killed him with his own weapon. That's cool. What'd Katie say? I don't know. I missed it. Oh. Yeah. But I want to talk just a moment about how he went down and slew a lion in a pit in a time of snow. There is no explanation as to why he did that. And so I have a thought, because this was something, like I said, Benaiah was a killer machine. And I don't think he was necessarily doing it for sport, but I don't know. Who knows? Maybe he was. But we do know that was, for many, that would be considered probably a suicide mission. It would seem stupid. It would seem crazy. It would be, why on earth would I go into a pit on a snowy day? Maybe he was trying to get warm. I don't know. But the inconvenience of a lion did not stop him. He ended up killing the lion. Can you picture that? I mean, that'd be a good movie, I'm telling you. But he did this. And so I kind of wonder if he had skipped that, if he hadn't done that, and hadn't done these other things, is it possible that he would have never been David's bodyguard? Is it possible he would have never made it to Solomon and the captain of Solomon's army? Like, is it possible those things would have never happened? Because these are the things, somehow, some way, got recorded and people found out, and it created a reputation for him. Where David said, if I want that guy, that's going to be my most trusted guy right there. I want that guy. And so I look at this in this particular thing, I look at the pit and the lion as an opportunity. If we look at this lion as an opportunity for him to continue to grow and get promoted, but also really an opportunity to do something that God has called you to do, and maybe possibly an opportunity to walk through the door as a stepping stone to get you to the next thing, then the next thing. Because most of us would look at that as an opportunity to run. Some of us would run for the first time in a long time. We would not go to that pit. But that would have been an opportunity missed. So if we take just for a moment and look at this lion as an opportunity. This was an opportunity, a stepping stone. And it's important to understand that the lion was not Benaiah's calling. It was the doorway into what he was called to do. And so he was doing what a mighty man was supposed to do. And I have to look at that and go, and I have to ask myself, am I doing what a mighty man is supposed to do? If you're a woman, you got to ask, am I doing what a mighty woman should do? Or am I powering down and avoiding the pit and avoiding the lion because it's scary, it's uncomfortable, it's risky. I don't like the idea of it. Plus, I'm waiting for God to do this other thing. All the while, that might be the very thing in the process or the opportunity. God's like, hey, I'm giving you this opportunity. It is a stepping stone. I remember years ago, praying for a guy right there. He's not here anymore, but he had a really, really bad attitude about his job. And the Lord spoke to him and said, one, you got to change your attitude. And two, this is not the end game. This is not, I'm paraphrasing, but this is not the end. This is not the thing that I've called you to. No, but this is a step to get you to where I'm trying to get you. So change your attitude. He did. He went on, got promoted in his job, and now enjoys his job. I mean, go figure, right? But when we have a bad attitude about the pit, we don't like the snow, it's cold, and there's a dangerous thing right there, we'll spend so much time avoiding, complaining, resisting, and never go into the pit just to kill the stinking lion. What is the lion that you're supposed to kill? What is the opportunity that God has placed in front of you that you're supposed to take? But maybe it's uncomfortable. Maybe it's scary. Maybe it doesn't look the way that you think. That's not my lion. My lion would look way different. Someone else's lion. And we'll make excuses as to why I shouldn't do that thing. If Benaiah had waited for something to look like, hey, I've been called to do this, and this is going to be the thing. See, Benaiah didn't have a prophet come up to him and say, hey, you need to go kill that lion. There was nothing, but he did it anyway. There was an opportunity. It was a stepping stone, and his reputation grew and became one of David's trusted men. How many opportunities have we potentially missed simply because we weren't paying attention? And hey, I'm just saying, this is not condemnation by any means, but I'm just saying, if you did not stick around last Friday night, you missed out. Just saying. I know some of you had legit places to be and legit places to go. I get it. But man, when we take the time, or maybe we should say, when we don't take the time, all right, well, hey, that was a good sermon. Okay, peace out. I'm going to eat. I'm going to go do whatever I'm going to do. God showed up last Friday in amazing ways. And if you were there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Amazing ways. If you weren't there, I hate to say it, missed opportunity. And that's not a condemning statement. I'm not trying, but that's the truth. It was a missed opportunity to experience something amazing that God was doing. How many of those do we miss every day? Because we're stuck in our own routine, stuck with our own priorities, and we're missing the very thing that God said, hey, I want you to do this thing. If you would just do this thing, it's going to get you over to where I'm trying to get you. But this is the preparing. I'm preparing you. You have to do this thing in order to be over here to do this other thing. And sometimes it's not an attention issue. Sometimes it's just a fear issue. We choose fear over courage. We don't want to go in the pit. It's scary. It's dark. It's cold. I don't know exactly where the lion is. I hear him breathing, but I don't know where he's actually at. I look at Athena. I don't know where you're at. You're probably like staring right there. You go. Look at Athena as an opportunity right in front of her. And you're taking it. You're going to go kill a lion. And God's got great things on the other side of that lion. It's an awesome thing. We see this principle found in Matthew 25:23, where it says, thou hast been faithful over a few things, and I will make thee a ruler over many things. Enter into the joy of thy Lord. And that is the parable of the servants and the talents. We have opportunities every day to press into the Lord, and we have opportunities every day to be consumed with ourselves. When you choose to consume yourself, all you're doing is consuming stupidity. It seems to be how it works most of the time. But you have an opportunity every day to press in the Lord a little bit more. You have every day is an opportunity to do something that God has called you to do, whether it's big or small, and maybe it just seems too small. Insignificant, really. And yet God's like, remember that whole, faithful little thing, rule over much? Get the little thing down. Get the little thing down. I've heard many stories over the years where people, they had kind of a junky car, right? Didn't like their car. Thought it was a stupid car, but that was the car they had. We've had ones that it looks more like a dumpster with four wheels. But there are ones that will say, you know what? I've been entrusted with this dumpster on four wheels, and I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to be grateful for it. It was a heart issue the Lord was going after. And now they got better cars than everybody. The Lord's always going after our heart. We see this all throughout Scripture. Think of Mary and Martha. They both had opportunities. Both had an opportunity to sit at Jesus' feet. Only one took it. So I want to cover, I think it's 5 steps. how not to miss an opportunity. Number one is stop waiting for the pit to be labeled. Ben and I had no verse, like I said. No prophet came up to him, no permission slip. And if you, and I know it's easy to get stuck in this, but if you're waiting for perfect clarity, perfect everything, the perfect scenario, let me wait till the snow to stop falling. Let me actually wait for the snow to melt. Let me wait for the sun to be out. A little too hot. Let me wait for a breeze to come out. We're stalling. We're waiting for the perfect condition. It's probably never going to come. You just got to go do the thing. Go kill the lion. Ecclesiastes 11:4 says, whosoever watches the wind will not plant. Whoever looks at the clouds will not reap. If you're too busy getting distracted with stupid stuff, pointless stuff, profitless stuff, not even necessarily what we would call sin, you're just getting distracted. As Sandy says, scrolling your brains out. And something that would probably be worth looking at is how often are we scrolling a phone versus how often are we talking to the Lord? Opportunities. What's your lion? But if you're waiting for the perfect opportunity, God, I don't know if God does that all the time. Probably not, more often not, if any time. He's like, no, if you're waiting for the perfect time, then you're waiting on something else other than me. Do it and trust me in the process. And it's one of those things where we got to be paying attention to the Lord. Because I'm not saying, let me clarify this, I'm not saying just launch out and do whatever you want to do anytime. I'm not saying that. I'm saying as the Lord leads, you go do that thing. As the Lord points and says, hey, there's the lion, kill it. Don't hesitate. Colossians 3:23 says, whatever you do, work at it with all of your heart, as working for the Lord, not for men. No task is too small. And I think it's one of those things where we just, I don't understand, but sometimes we can be so ungrateful because the condition is not what we deemed it should be right now. And so we're not grateful for the junky car. We're not grateful for the situations that we find ourselves in. We find ourselves complaining rather than praising. And I think we really need to be careful of that because, again, the Lord's going after your heart. And if you're not willing to kill the lions and walk in that pit and do the thing, it's going to get in here. And you are going to spend a lifetime avoiding the very thing that you say you're waiting for. Number 2 is treat the unnoticed moment as a real test. So Ben could have easily just walked right by the cave. Easily. He could have said, I don't really feel like it right now. I could take him, but I don't have to prove. I'm by myself. I don't have to prove anything. But character is built in the moments with no audience. This wasn't a prideful thing. This wasn't let me prove, let me show how awesome I am to all my friends. It was nothing like that because there was no audience. And those are exactly the moments that typically qualify when it's just you and Jesus. Because as it says in Luke 6:10, it says, he is faithful in which is the least. I cannot read tonight. He that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much. If you're not going to be faithful with little things, you're probably not going to be faithful in the big things. And that's the reality of it. And sometimes we focus just on the big things. Matthew 6:1-4 talks about how Jesus is saying, your Father sees what you do in secret and will reward you openly. This is going after a heart issue again. Sometimes we want to wait until the opportunity where somebody's going to see. I don't, it's weird to me, but when people are taking selfies while they're, feeding homeless or paying, money to a guy in a corner, I don't really get it because what's the heart condition there? Are you actually really wanting to bless that person or are you just trying to get likes on Facebook? You know what I'm saying? Like it's a heart condition. And those are the things that have to be worked out. And in 1 Samuel 16:7, it talks about, this is talking actually about David. The Lord does not look at the things man looks at. When David was being avoided, being picked out and anointed as king, like that's the scenario there. Number 3 is to recognize that the small fight is training for the next fight. He didn't go from nothing to giant slayer. He didn't go from nothing to killing 2 lion-like men of Moab. He didn't go from nothing to just killing an Egyptian. If you skip the line, you're probably not ready physically, spiritually, for the reputation God's trying to build, because he's trying to show himself strong through you. And when you combine that with being an ambassador of Christ, what you do really matters, because people are watching you. Are they watching you cower down? Are they watching you avoid doing the right thing? Are they watching you be like the world instead of like Jesus? What are they seeing when they're looking at you? Or are they looking at you going, man, that's a lion killer right there. They do things that I don't know anybody else would do in a good way. And when life gets hard, they might make fun of you even. But when life gets hard, you're the one they're calling because they know you got the goods. That's why in James 1, 2 through 4 talks about trials produces perseverance. 1 Timothy 3 talks about you must first be tested before you start leading. 1 Samuel 17:37 talks about, again, this is referring to David, that the Lord rescued me, and this is David saying, the Lord rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear, and he will rescue me from the hands of this Philistine. There was a process that took place, and David knew who God was. Number 4 is to act with purpose, not for applause. This is one of those things that you have to look at. Once again, are you doing it because you want to be seen? You must, if you're doing that, you will launch out and do things prematurely. You will do things that will actually hurt yourself, and God's not in it. And this is why ultimately this comes down to the most important factor, which is allowing the Lord, being sensitive to the Lord, being sensitive to his spirit. If you're not, you're going to get in trouble, because you're going to launch out, do things, and call it God, and it's not God. We have to be careful. 5 says, let your reputation be built, not manufactured. Benaiah never campaigned to be a bodyguard. His obedience in the small and the unglamorous fights made a case for him. He didn't have to say, I'm the most qualified, I'm the most awesome. His actions spoke for themselves, and his reputation grew. And you, again, looking at this at ourselves, when someone looks at you, is your reputation so founded and grounded on the Lord and God moving through you that people know? They don't have to look at your qualifications. They know when there's a problem, I'm calling that person. Because they know you hear God. They know that God shows up. They know that when you pray, man, something happens, and that's why they're banging on your door. Like, what's happening? If people aren't asking you for prayer, maybe you're doing something wrong. It's possible. Proverbs 22:1 says, a good name is more desirable than great riches. This is why when we are out trying to build a reputation for ourselves, a lot of it is wasted time and effort. Although you can manufacture it for sure, it doesn't hold up under the fire. And when the lion shows up, it will not hold up. This is where it has to be real. It has to be genuine with the Lord, where you stand up, you kill the lion, and you keep moving. You're not looking for anything other than the next thing God has for you, to bring God honor and glory. This is why we must walk in wisdom, discernment, as you walk with the Lord. This isn't about take a risk and God rewards it. And I think far too often people try to do that. I think, I don't know, this might have been a Sandy story, I'm not sure, but I always remember this, someone told a story about some revival happening in some other country, and things were going awesome, God's showing up, God's doing amazing things, and the people are trying to, these 2 girls, 3 girls, whatever, are trying to get across this large body of water, waterfall, whatever it was, and so they rose up in what they called faith and said, well, surely we can walk across this water. They got in, and they drowned. And it really put the revival to a halt, because God didn't say to do it. They manufactured that lion and said, oh yeah, this is God, I will do this thing. No, if God's not in it, what are you doing? All that does is show that you're not really connected with him, and yet still calling it faith, and that is a dangerous place to be. So I have to ask tonight, what is the lion in the pit for you? We all got something. What is the thing that you are supposed to face? What is the thing that you are supposed to maybe give up? What is the thing that you are supposed to address in your life that you have not? You've been avoiding it, and you've been saying you're waiting on God, and God's like, no, I'm waiting on you. Maybe it's an apology. Maybe it's a hard conversation. Maybe it's being truthful in a certain area. Maybe it's giving something you don't want to give, surrendering something you don't want to surrender, or maybe just making a big move that you're a little nervous about. What's the lion that you're supposed to kill? What's the lion that you're supposed to kill? So God's saying, yeah, I want to show myself strong for you. Let's go. Let's do this. There's the pit. There's the snow. Lions in there. Let's go. What's the lion in your life? If you don't know, then I would submit that you're not paying attention enough. Because your walk with God is a progression. It's I'm climbing a mountain with the Lord, and the Lord's just that big. I haven't made it. And that is the most frustrating thing about the flesh, is we like to deceive ourselves thinking that there's this place of I made it. And once the pain goes away, and this is take heed. Even when you're being the most awesome, fruitful vineyard, and there's that absence of pain, and there's this abundance and awesomeness, you can let your guard down. You can get comfortable, and all of a sudden you're not really concerned about the Lord's heart anymore because you're too consumed with other things, and that's not allowed. Even in the good times, we're still holding the knife to our throat saying, no, flesh, you don't get to have your way. So what is the lion that you are looking at? What's the lion that you're facing? What is it that you are supposed to kill, and even kill tonight or this week? What is it? You got to know. So what I'm going to do is we're going to make this super short and sweet because we got another thing after this. Worship team, come on back up. Hey, Albert.
Mine is Ephesians 4:30. I could possibly read the Spirit.
Okay, thank you, Albert. I'm going to pray for you in just a minute. Thank you for your honesty. Look at that, lion killer right here, willing to kill his lions. So good job, Albert. Good job. I'm going to ask all of you to stand, and what we're going to do, worship team's going to sing a song, and your job is to determine in your heart what lion have you been avoiding, what lion needs to be killed, and if you need to kill it right now, you can join Albert up here, and we kill it tonight. Because literally it might be one thing. That lion might be the one thing holding up every good thing that God's got stored up for you. And everything's just waiting. It's right above your head, and he's just waiting to pull the pin and let it all fall, but you won't do this one thing. What is the one thing that you don't want to face, that you don't want to do, that you don't want to give up? That is the thing that you have to tackle tonight. And after that, we're going to have a time where we're going to pray for Athena and send her off the right way. So hang in there for that. Ask the Lord, what is the lion? Are you going to be a Benaniah and actually kill something? Or are you going to find a way to avoid it once again and get busy, get distracted, find a reason not to go into that pit? Deal with that tonight. Can you do that?